We welcome you to another live edition of the Sports Box, brought to you by our sponsor, Showcase Sports in Hamilton. Showcase Sports for the elite athlete. And by our friends over at CrowdPlay. Download the free CrowdPlay app today and check them out at www.crowdplayapp.com for details. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to The Fighting Words. I'm usually not the host. I usually don't take the intro responsibilities, but Bobby is out with, he had prior responsibilities. He couldn't make it tonight. So in his place, we have the great, and when I mean great, I mean the great Dan Baker is with us to talk some UFC 263, to talk some other things in the world of combat sports. And, just to have a good time and talk some fights. Dan, how are you, brother?
I am doing good. And we got Mike chiming in saying, yo. What's up, Mike? How's it going?
Mike Coletta. Hey, man, I'm following your golf career, buddy. Keep it up.
Yep.
Gonna make the tour. Keep it up.
But, Bobby had something going on, so Lou asked me to come on. Of course, I'm going to say, anything to help a Sports Box meet out. But we got a nice card coming up this weekend, UFC 263, a stack card with a nice 5-fight main card. Even the prelims is pretty good. We just had a nice UFC Vegas 28 card. I won't go too much into it. I'll just say Rosenstruck knocked out his opponent in the main event, Augustus Sakai, with 1 second left, and then Walt Harris got stopped by his opponent, Marcin Tybura. And that's really all you need to know with that. But let's get started with the first topic that we have on here. We had an exhibition fight over the weekend on Sunday night in Miami, which we saw Floyd Mayweather go up against Logan Paul. I know you have a lot to say about this, so I'll leave you the floor for that one.
Yeah, when this fight first got not a fight, this altercation was first announced, I denounced it, and I didn't want anything to do with it. I'm like, come on, man, this guy Floyd Mayweather, I've had it up to here with Floyd Mayweather. And somehow, some way, with that little stunt, at the press conference with the got your hat, it wasn't even Logan, yeah. It was Jake. It moved the needle just a little bit. Now, one of the main comments I saw on all the social media was, I didn't even pay for the fight. That was the comment, and I want my money back. And I second that because, I didn't pay for it. I'm not going to lie. But to know that now these fighters are going out there and fighting these exhibitions against people who have, namely a guy like Floyd Mayweather, who is 50-0, wants to lay claim to the best ever, even if he says it, just to get his clout up. He really has a claim to being one of the greatest fighters ever.
Yeah.
And when you start doing things like this, when he went to, I believe it was China, or Japan, whatever it was, and had that exhibition. Now this McGregor was essentially an exhibition. Even though Conor, he at the time he was on top of the world, essentially three exhibitions in a row. I read that this fight generated 1 million pay-per-view views at 50. That's $50 million, man, that people actually shelled out to watch this nonsense with one real fight on the card. Then now I said it at the time in the chat, the sports box chat. I'm never watching another exhibition of fights again because I didn't pay for it and I was disgusted at what we saw.
Well, did you see? Did you see the view count? Well, first you had his fight with I think it was Pacquiao. That had like 4.6 million views. Even the McGregor one had 4.5. This one had between 500 and 600,000 views, way down. And on top of it, I think one of the things that killed it was that the fight wasn't sanctioned in Florida. And then on top of that, if you're going to have a fight not sanctioned where people can't bet on it, why is one of your main sponsors going to be DraftKings?
Right.
Like, well, why are you going to do that if you can't bet on the fight? Like, it makes no sense of the matter. I think it just tuned people out. People probably would have tuned in if they could at least bet on it, just because they would be like, oh, I'm going to bet on Mayweather because he's going to win. They even had betting on, I think, the Tyson Jones fight.
Right. They did. But at that time, the exhibition, that was the first of its kind.
Yeah.
With the big promotion and the big to do. So, that one also made me sick after watching it, because it's like, you rewatch that fight and Tyson didn't throw any type of punches to try to hurt Jones.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. I mean, it is an exhibition at the end of the day, but as a fan of the fight game and as a viewer, I'm like, come on, man, this is enough, And then Logan Paul, God bless him, was it 2 or 3 career fights under his belt? He gets in the ring with Floyd Mayweather, makes $20 million. I'm not hating on that aspect. It's just as a person who enjoys thoroughly boxing, this is a travesty. It's a travesty, dude.
And I think it was a work to begin with. Because I remember hearing the fact that if they went the distance, they were both going to make more money in the matter. And right. I forget what round it was. There was a video out there that showed that looks like Floyd knocks Logan Paul basically out, and then he has to hold him up for like a few seconds to keep him in, or like they're like locking up. Then they break up, and by that time, Logan Paul comes back out of it, and he's ready to go again. So there's a lot of iffy things that went on with that I'm just like, why is this happening? And then, of course, they made the news, I think a week ago, that Jake Paul is going to be fighting Tyron Woodley now in August.
Yep.
Which, who knows what's going to happen with that, because that's another one where I feel like at least Jake is actually fighting somebody now, but at what level?
Jake is the actual legit fighter of the two.
Yeah.
And it's a boxing match you're gonna fight. But I don't think this is an exhibition. I think this is like, it's gonna be sanctioned, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong.
I know they're trying to. I think Bellator is trying to lure Logan Paul into an MMA fight, and he's considering it.
They are. And Jake Paul went on Twitter to call out Canelo, talking about, Canelo, you're not a draw, fight me. And Canelo just gave him one of these in response. Like, it's getting out of hand. And then, but the bad part about it is that these fighters are taking these fights. With these scrubs. And it's like, it's just as a fight fan, I'm like, all right, that's enough. We had a couple shows. That's enough. You know what I mean? And it's just a travesty.
The problem is it's these YouTubers that get millions of viewers, and they can just get people to view just from their YouTube channel. They'll get a bunch of those people to view it just in itself. Say they get half of those. That's 500,000 people. And then whoever you get, they're going to have their fans. Like with Mayweather, he no matter who likes him or hates him, they're going to view it just to see him potentially lose because of the personality that he is. So they're going to view. But I think just at the end of the day, the fact that you couldn't bet, I think that had a huge effect on this, just with the Vegas crowd.
Right. You think Paul would have taken some money in? some underdog money? I think he would have.
I think he would have, because it would be hard. Like, you would have been easily put in like maybe minus 1,200 at the least on Mayweather, and it would have made Paul like a big underdog, to where, like, say somehow like he etched out a decision, you were making a lot of money. Whereas,
Right.
like, you could go with the easy Mayweather, but you're not making anything. You're putting $100 to win like $1.20. So
Right.
it's like kind of worthless unless you put a whole shit ton of money, like $1 million, just to win $100,000, just to say I won that much money on Mayweather. It kind of makes
Right.
no sense. It's like one of those
Right.
things
Right.
where you're like, I got to go with the better odds.
Right. But I claim it now. I proclaim it now in public. I'm never watching another exhibition fight as long as I live. Never. I don't care who it is.
Yeah.
I don't care if Muhammad Ali raised from the dead and is prime. I'm not. I'm never doing it. It's a travesty, and I'm sick of
And
it.
we got my buddy Donald Hill chiming in from Three Man Crew. Three Man Reef. Should real fighters utilize those YouTube strategies so they can get more money? It doesn't hurt there, because with that, you're going to gain more viewers, more notoriety, and it's going to get your fan up. So when you have all these deals, all the merch and everything, it doesn't hurt to do that. It's just you got to put the work in as a fighter to build yourself up with YouTube, with social media, and everything. They were just talking about Clarissa Sheard, she like with the PFL, she needs to build her social media up, kind of like what the other fighters are doing, because there's fighters in there that are building themselves up. They're posting here and there to get fans, because it's better for them money wise in the long run.
Right. Ryan Garcia is actually the next guy up, who's actually making a name for himself on YouTube. However, he just went on a little a mental health break because he was getting overwhelmed with whatever. I didn't really see what the issue was exactly, but he's one that's coming up with the punching bag and all these famous people that are taking the challenge. So he's on his way to do that. He's probably the first
and then,
one.
And then what's his name? I'm having a brain fart. The Mexican who just lost a lot of weight. He's training with Canelo now.
Ruiz.
Yeah, Ruiz. He's
Andy
on YouTube.
Ruiz.
He's on YouTube now. Also, he did that whole 4 or 5 episode thing about him losing weight, again back on track with Canelo Alvarez's camp. He said usually it takes him up until like 2 days before weigh-ins to get to his weight, but now he can easily make weight with like a month beforehand because of the different things that he's doing. And then he said Ryan Garcia found out the gift and the curse of social media.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And that's the both sides of the coin. You can make a name for yourself, but then now even the tennis player, what's her name, man? She just withdrew from the French Open. What's her name? Osaka or something?
Yeah,
her name
is
but she withdrew because of mental health. She needed a mental health break. So a lot of people are not from our, these new younger people are not from our time.
No.
Where it sucks, it hurts to say, but it's gotten softer over time. And back then you could take somebody saying you suck and up yours, whatever. Now you tell somebody you suck, now you get 100,000 comments saying you suck. Now you start to feel bad. Now you start to be like, damn, do I really suck? So it's like, at the same time, we didn't have to put up with that, our times athletes. But then at the same time, you can't want to be like these YouTubers and then not understand what comes with it and then cry about it later. You know what I mean? So it's like you got to pick and choose what you want to do.
Yeah. But let's go from that to another announcement that they had. Of course, they announced this a couple weeks ago because of the judges' ruling that we're going to have a Fury Wilder 3. I believe it's in July. I believe it is. Because they announced it. Originally they were trying to do Fury and Joshua in Wembley Stadium. Yeah, in Wembley Stadium. But then with everything going on, they switched around with the judges, and they ordered that Fury has to fight Wilder now, and then Joshua has to fight his number one contender. I forget his name. What do you think about that?
Well, I was pretty excited when they announced Fury and Joshua because that's our the first chance in a long time to have an undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. now that Fury has Wilder's belt and Joshua has the other ones. So I was really looking forward to that. Now Deontay Wilder comes and he has every right to do so. He went to arbitration and he won. So now we have Fury Wilder 3. This throws a big wrench in everything. To me, Fury, excuse me, is really 2-0 against Wilder, because had the knockdown not happened in the 12th in the first fight, we wouldn't have, the draw that we had. And then obviously Fury cleans his clock in the second fight.
Don said Wilder deserved the rematch.
I mean, he did, but I would much rather have, because now what happens is if Wilder wins, now he takes his title back. Now you have to rematch Fury. Now the potential for the undisputed championship is now further away. What I would have liked to have happened was Fury and Joshua for the undisputed title, have Wilder come, because he got his clock cleaned. It's not like it was a controversial, he got mollywopped. Have him come back and beat somebody, maybe an Andy Ruiz, then set up Wilder coming back for his title, but against the undisputed champion. And then you erase all this controversy. Now, Wilder has that puncher's chance. So if he defeats Fury for what, I don't see it happening, but it could. Yeah. Now it puts a wrench in that whole shindig. And that's what really upset me as a fan of boxing. So, it is what it is, but.
No, I agree with that, because I do think he deserves it, but with the performance he did in the first two fights, the first one, he just looked off. Fury had his way with him, and then he came on strong, and then he got those last two rounds, but I think he got 10-8 to squeak out like the draw. Then he did a rematch, and then he just got handed to him. That whole fight, he looked tired. He made the excuse that he was tired after walking out with that with the entrance gear on, which is probably his fault in himself for doing it. I get why. Like it looked cool as shit. But if he's gonna make an excuse, just be like, I just didn't show up, blah blah blah. I need to show up next time. He literally just hired a new trainer and manager a couple weeks ago. I think it would be his best interest to get the Fury as trainer, take a fight, maybe two fights to get under his belt to get used to it, and then come back after the Fury Joshua fight and then get his shot. Because if he loses this one, he's going to be down there. He's not going to get one for a while, or not again, unless Fury loses the belt to Joshua. Because that would be, he would basically have two losses and a tie to Fury. And there's no coming back from that. So I think it would have been better to take a little bit more time with the new manager, going right away, rather than just 2 months of training with them and then go from there. But it's his idea. He wanted to go do it. He has every right to fight for it, and then hopefully he wins for his sake.
Yeah, but like I said, I would much. I like in boxing, I like the undisputed champions. Yeah. So, that really had me salivating when they finally announced Fury Joshua. And then this happens, but it's all right. It's going to make for some good fights anyway, so I'm okay with that. But Wilder should have waited. Wilder should have waited. I don't think he's gonna be Fury yet. I really don't. Well, ever, because he didn't beat him yet.
Yep. But let's move on. Now we're going to get to the meat and potatoes. We got UFC 263, which is this Saturday in Glendale, Arizona. We got a star-studded 5-fight card with two championship fights, one non-title 5-round fight, and then two nice matchups to begin the card. So I'll get started with the first one. We got Paul Craig, who is 14-4-1. He is the underdog plus 240, going up against Jamal Hill, who's 8-0 and is the minus 300 favorite. How do you feel about this?
That I think Jamal Hill is ranked 15 and Craig is 14. So this is possibly to crack a top 10 in the light heavyweight division. I'll be honest, Hill, I haven't seen much of Hill. I know he's 2-0 in the UFC. I've seen some highlights of him. He's got some good hands. He got some clinch work. But I haven't really had a chance to see much of him. Paul Craig, on the other hand, He needs a win desperately to crack this. He's been at it for a while. He's a little bit older in the tooth, longer in the tooth,
Yeah.
which is a theme of some of the fighters, moving up the card. But he needs a win. He's been at it for a long time. If he doesn't win here, you may see him, you know, being somebody who's released or something like that. Because at this point, if he can't be a guy like Hill, who's a youngster who's just relatively new to the UFC, then what are you going to do moving forward? You're not going to switch divisions. You're not going to do anything else. So yeah, Craig definitely needs a win here. Vegas doesn't see it happening, and I can't really make a prediction because I haven't really seen much of Hill to say he's that good or relative to Craig. So, but I mean, if Vegas has it minus 300, they're usually on point with this. So, we'll go with Hill.
Yep. I'll actually bring up the thing right here with the Hill. He's fought William Vincent and Lights Out. He's fought Alexander Popik, Darko Stosic, which he won by decision. He had the draw with Klidson Abreu. Actually, he won it by KO, but then I think it got snitched to a draw. And then Vince St. Preux is the last fight that he did where he won by KO. And then he had Craig, who lost to Alonzo Menafield by KO. He beat Vinicius Moreira. The Shogun Rua first fight was a draw. He beat Ankalaev by submission. He was actually losing that, and he pulled out of nowhere. He kept on going in and out of the triangle hold. And then Antikov just went right back in for no reason. Yep. And he locked it in and then won. And then he beat Mauricio Arura by KO I believe it was the first round of the last fight.
Yep.
This is contrasting styles right here. Because I look at Jamal Hill, and he's kind of like Kevin Holland and Israel Adesanya, that same build, that same mindset of standing up and fighting. He's just more raw than the two of them. And of course, Kevin Holland sucks at the takedown, but Jamal Hill's takedown defense isn't good either. So I feel like that's going to be the way that Paul Craig's going to go. But then Paul Craig has a bad chin, and then Jamal Hill puts on a lot of volume, and then he can put you down at any chance. So
those 8 wins are half for knockouts and half for submissions anyway. So he can get to you if he has to.
And Paul Craig's the kind of guy that's going to try and take you down and submit you. He's had a bunch of fights where you're just like, this guy's not looking good, but somehow he just pulls out a victory. He's like a grinder. He no matter what happens, he gets that W, and it looks good. And then I think that's why he's the underdog, because he's had the grind out victories where Jamal Hill has basically dominated his fights. And then they were supposed to fight a couple months ago. I think Craig got COVID. I believe I think it was Hill. Hill got COVID. So they had to push it back a couple months to this card, which is perfect because that made this one even better with crowd to have this fight as a first fight in the card. I think on the card before, it was the co-main event of that card. So you can see how stacked this card is.
Right.
I'm leaning towards Jamal Hill with this. I'm going to say by second round knockout. I feel like Craig can pressure him early. He's going to need to win in the first round because he doesn't have a good gas tank. He starts tiring out. And when you try and take a guy down and when you try and submit somebody, you put a lot of energy into those motions because you got a guy that's trying to fight you with it. And I feel like he's going to try and do too much of that because he's not going to stand. He's going to tire out, and I think Jamal Hill is going to take advantage of it.
That's a good analysis there. Very good analysis. But I'll tell you what, I'm happy for Jamal Hill, though. Now, like you said, a fight in front of a crowd. Now he'll get some exposure, and if he's as good as his record indicates, it'll be a good showing for him. So, I'm interested to see this fight just because, like I said, I haven't seen much of Phil. So I'm definitely interested in this one just to see what he's about.
Yeah. The next fight that we have on here is Damian Maia, who's 28-10, plus 180 underdog, going up against Bilal Muhammad, 18-3. He's minus 220 favorite. As you know, Damian Maia hasn't fought in over a year and a half. He got knocked out by Gilbert Burns, and then it's been talked about this could be his last fight. And then they asked him last week, and he said, I want to do more than that. I'm not done after this. I want to do at least two or three more fights. And then, of course, you got Muhammad, who fought Leon Edwards, got eye poked. That was there's two fights on this card with guys, with matchups where they got turned into no contest. You have Bilal Muhammad, and just so happens Leon Edwards on the same card as well. And then you got on that same card a couple of months ago, you have Eric Anders and Darren Stewart who are fighting in the prelim, which was that illegal knee, which was incidental. So it's crazy that all these guys are on the same card. It just sucks that Muhammad's not fighting Edwards. I thought they should have written rematch, but then Edwards went with Diaz anyway. But what do you think with this matchup?
Well, Damian Maia, going back to Paul Craig, Damian Maia is definitely long in the tooth here. But, at the same time, he's fought the who's who in the UFC. He's got, he's lost to Burns, Covington, Woodley, Shields, Kamaru Usman. He's lost to everybody. He's fought everybody, but he's lost to him. He's 43. He's definitely on his last leg, dude. Bilal Muhammad was on a four win streak before the eye poke of doom, which was pretty freaking devastating, man. I mean, he started bleeding instantly. It swelled up immediately. He was crying. He was screaming. It was tough to watch. But he's tough in the clinch. He's gonna ground. And he's gonna submit you. I'm not sure. I'm not sure those odds are. I would have put Maia as a further underdog because I've really, he's old at this point, man. He's got experience. But he's old, dude. He's really, really old, and I don't see him overtaking, especially Muhammad wanting to come back from, this eye poke thing. He really wants to get back on the winning, even though it's not a loss, it's a no contest. But he wants to win. So I really, this is definitely a stepping stone, and I really, really think that Muhammad is gonna just step all over this guy. And it sucks because Maia has given us years of good entertainment in the UFC, but his time is done, man. It's over for him. I don't see him coming out of this at all. I just don't. He's gonna get submitted,
We got Bear John Ant saying my man Lou.
Yo.
And then we got Miguel saying my boy.
Miguelito.
But I think this is going to be a pretty interesting matchup. First, you got Damian Maia will go through his last five fights. He lost to Kamaru Usman by decision. He beat Lyman Good by submission. He beat Anthony Rocco Martin by decision. He beat Ben Askren by submission, which is great to see. And then, of course, he lost to Gilbert Burns by KO. You got Muhammad, who beat Curtis Millender by decision, beat Takashi Sato by submission, Lyman Good by decision. So they have a guy that they both fought in Lyman Good, who they both beat. Diego Lima, he beat by decision. And then it was a quick turnaround. I think it was a month because it was supposed to be Edwards against Shimoff. And then Shimoff came down with COVID. So he took the fight. And then, of course, he got the eye poke that killed that fight in the second round. And, of course, they're not rematching for it. But, you got Damian Maia. Of course, everybody knows that he is the quintessential jiu-jitsu guy. He's the guy that you go to when you want to train against a jiu-jitsu. If you have a matchup against somebody like that, you bring him in. He helps you out. He goes around the world training people, helping them out, because that's what he did before he came to MMA. He was a top-notch jiu-jitsu artist, and then he made the transition over to MMA. And he's had a great career for not winning a championship. He had the one title shot, which he lost by the decision. But he's a guy that's going to try and just pressure you, get you towards the cage, try and get you down like in the clinch. And then he's going to try and get on your back and backpack you. That's his thing. He gets a lot of his submissions that way. Then you got Muhammad, who is he has that wrestling background, but he tends to only use it when he needs to. And I think he's going to stay away from it this fight because you got Maia.
I think so.
Yeah, because you got a guy like Maia who's probably going to be like, take me down. I'm fine on my back. I can maneuver around on the floor with my jiu-jitsu. And I feel like it would be smart for Muhammad to stand on his feet and just trade with him because he's going to be better off that way because he has the better gas tank. He has the boxing background that he can use, the striking. It puts out a lot of volume. He can beat him that way because he's not going to be worried about getting knocked out by Maia. He's going to be worried about getting submitted by Maia. That's what he's going to worry about. And then the one thing with Maia is he's not good in top guard. He's good at side, back, and all that. So I think it would be better off Muhammad just stand up and trade, move around, use the speed because, of course, he's younger than he's 32, and then Maia is 43 right now.
Right.
So it'll be his best bet to move around, hit, get a lot of volume in, avoid the clinch as much as possible, and then to win that way. And then he could possibly knock out Maia. I got a third-round knockout by Muhammad.
Yeah, I agree. Muhammad is just that's what he does. He clinches you. You know, he's not necessarily ground and pound, but the clinch game, you know, he'll clinch in, he'll just work the clinch. He'll take you down and he'll wear you out. And I just really don't think at 43 at this point, you know, with just you know, betting on Muhammad wanting to come, he was already on a streak, wanting to come back off that eye poke. I don't see Maia. You know, God bless him though. I mean, he's the thing with these veterans is that they have the experience, and in UFC we always say it only takes one arm bar, it takes one punch to the chin. So they always have that opportunity, you know. But Muhammad is just, I think he's gonna be too tough for him.
Yeah, I always look at Silva against Sonnen. Silva was losing the whole fight into the 5th round. Sonnen made that one small mistake, and he got triangled for it. So
right at the buzzer too.
Yeah, but we got a couple of people chiming in. We got Chris Rivera, Lou Bird by my guy, God bless. And then we got,
thank you, sir.
And then keep grinding, fellows, from Noah. Thanks for commenting on that. But let's move on to the third fight. And in this one, I'd say if you want to take a chance on Maia, like I would say Maia by submission. If you want to take a chance, like that's your bet if you want to. I personally would go Muhammad by decision. That would be the smart move. But if you want to take a chance, just because the money line, go with Maia by submission because you're getting good odds on that.
This is probably the only fight where you'll get, you know, good value for the bet because, Maia does have the chance. I just don't see it happening, but it's probably the best value on the whole card.
On the third fight, we have a 5-round non-title fight between Leon Edwards. He's 18-3. He's the minus 550 heavy favorite, and he's fighting Nate Diaz, who's 21-12, and is the plus 400 underdog. What do you think?
Those odds are right where they should be. We all know who Nate Diaz is. He's a superstar, like Joe Rogan always calls him. He's a superstar. But when you start to break it down a little bit, you know, he's 3-2 in his last 5. He's in the last 5 years, he's fought like 2 or 3 times. He fought Connor, Pettis, and then Masvidal in the span of 3 or 4 years, or however long it's been. So the inactivity at his age, because how old is Diaz now? He's 30. He's might be in his 40s, right? Or late 30s, 36 maybe.
I got it right here. He's 36.
36. You know, once you start, again, another guy who's longer in the tooth, these long layoffs for him versus a guy who's so active as Leon Edwards, who's the number 3 ranked guy, who is going to clinch you and strike you, who does everything that, Diaz does, but probably a little bit better. Besides maybe from the jiu-jitsu, the ground game, you know, Nate Diaz is a monster, world class on the ground. You know, Leon Edwards he's not the best wrestler in the world, but he's gonna put the pressure on you when he takes you to the ground. And you know, I don't know, man. I don't know. I won't. My heart wants to go with Nate Diaz, but I think those odds are right where they should be. I don't see, because Leon Edwards is also on the back end of that eye poke as well. He wants to show that, you know, that was an accident. Okay, let's get back to business. He might want to knock this guy out. So it'll be interesting because Nate Diaz will want to sit there and strike with you. That's how he became who he became, the superstar, by striking and trying to keep things off the ground. So it'll be interesting to see how Leon Edwards responds to that, if he just takes him down and tries to pressure him, or if he stands up with him. And we'll see. The Stockton boys, they're tough cookies. They're tough, and it's I think those odds are right where they should be. I don't see Nate Diaz, probably a decision for Leon Edwards. I don't see him getting stopped either. But yeah, this is gonna be tough for my boy Nate Diaz, and I love Nate Diaz, but it's gonna be tough for him.
Yeah, he beat Michael Johnson by decision. He beat Conor McGregor by submission, of course. Then he lost by decision to Conor McGregor. He beat Anthony Pettis by decision, and then he lost to Jorge Masvidal by KO doctor stoppage. You got Edwards, who beat Peter Sabata. He beat Don Cerrone. He beat Gunnar Nelson, and then he beat Rafael Dos Anjos, and then he had the eye poke, of course. So he had that. But I think the thing to think about in this is all the damage Nate Diaz has taken, and then he has the scar tissue on his head, on his face, which is easily cuttable with shots. Because one of the things he doesn't do is he doesn't block. He puts his hands down. He talks trash to you, and then he tries to get in your head. And that's a thing that Leon Edwards doesn't bother him. He's just going to come in. He's going to box with you, move in and out. He has very good speed. And then he might clinch. I don't think he's going to use the wrestling crazy. I think he'll take him down a couple of times. But I think he's going to be more – I think it's going to be more in the clinch, where he gets into the clinch, use those elbows that he has, because his elbows are vicious, and he's going to cut open Nate Diaz. And it's going to make him a little bloody. It's going to get in his eyes, of course. So I could see in this fight where you get another stoppage, a doctor stoppage, because it's going to be very easy for Nate Diaz to get cut because of not fighting often, and he has all this scar tissue. But I'm with you on this one, where I think it's going to be a decision by Edwards. If you want to try and get that minus 550 down a little bit, you can probably look for a win by stoppage, whatever it's going to be. You can probably do that, because with the scar tissue in the last fight, there was a stoppage, so you can probably look for that. But I'd go with the decision.
Yeah, that's fair. And then Nate Diaz too. We all know he likes to party. He likes to smoke.
Yeah.
So smoking. It doesn't necessarily give you a good gas tank. So we saw it against Anthony Pettis. He was dead tired after that fight. Masvidal, he landed a couple strikes, but he looked tired in that fight as well. And he hasn't fought. That fight was in 2019, at the end of 2019, maybe it was. So it's been all of 2020. He's been out of the cage. Now it's halfway through 2021. I fear for his gas tank. I don't see a path to victory for him, unless it's just one of those random get you in a triangle choke or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the most random of randoms. I don't see Leon Edwards has been too active, too aggressive, too on top of everything. Nate Diaz is, I love you, buddy, but you're done in this one.
Yep, I agree there. But let's move to the co-main event. This is actually my favorite fight on the card. I'm looking forward to this more than any other. We got Davison Figueiredo. He's coming in 21-1, minus 220 favorite. Of course, he's the champion of the division, and he's going up against Brandon Moreno, who is 18-5-2, and he's a plus 180 underdog. And then this will be the second time they're going around after fighting to a draw in December, which is, to me, was the fight of the year, or one of them, with the Joanna and Zhang Weili. What do you think of this?
Well, I think this is going to be the fight of the night, because watching that first fight over, it was a draw because the ref took a point from Figueiredo for that. I mean, the kick was super low, it was right in the niblets, but he took a point right away, so that that in turn made it the draw. But this dude is pissed. In the embedded, the UFC embedded, he said, "Look, man, he's talking trash. I don't even want to see him. If I see him, we're gonna fight right there. I want to knock him out in the first round." And I've never really seen Figueiredo this upset that he's talking all types of reckless stuff. But breaking it down a little bit, Figueiredo has great hands. He's a submission artist. He's got 9 knockouts and 8 submissions. He'll get it done either way.
He likes that guillotine.
He likes the guillotine choke, you know what I mean? So he'll get it done however he has to get it done. And now that he's got a little bit of anger on his side, it's going to make an interesting fight. Moreno, he's a submission artist, 10 submissions, 3 KOs in his 18 wins. In that first fight, though, Figueiredo he had a couple head kicks. He had a couple elbow strikes that he was really leading that fight. And then in the second half, Moreno just turned it on. He landed a couple head kicks. He was landing a couple blows. And, of course, minus the point deduction, he was really making a fight of it in the second half. So Moreno, I'm interested to see how he turns around. And because like I said, essentially he did lose the fight. If you take out the 1 point, he lost the fight. So I'm interested to see what he does now, because Figueiredo's gonna come aggressive. He wants to knock him out. He said it. He's like, I don't want to play with him. I want to knock him out. So he's gonna look for the knockout. It'll be interesting to see what what Moreno will do, if he's gonna try to withstand the early punishment, try to take him down, do something to try to counter that. This one, it's pushy to me. I don't really know who I like to win this fight, because when you normally have somebody who's so aggressive, it can go one of two ways. Either he's going to knock you out in the first 30, or he's going to make a mistake like Jose Aldo did with McGregor. He got slept because he was so angry. He just, he got slept. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how Moreno capitalizes on these really upset feelings that Figueiredo has. This is a push to me. If I had to choose one, I'll say Figueiredo, because again, if it wasn't for the point, he won the first fight. But this one, it's for the belt. Moreno is up. He's ready to go. I don't know, dude. This is gonna be good, man. It's gonna be a barn burner, no matter what.
Yeah, like before I get into like the last 5 fights, I was on the other end. I thought without the point deduction, Moreno had won it anyway. I felt like
really
that's just me, because I felt like first round. Of course, I said this in my preview back in December. The longer the fight goes, the better it is for Moreno, because Figueiredo does so much in so little time. He gets a lot off, but then he starts to tire out. His gas tank is suspect. Like it doesn't help that a lot of his fights end after the first round, possibly the second. But he put a lot in the first. He didn't really think that Moreno had what no one thinks is Moreno has like 5 losses. All of them were by decision. He's never been knocked out. He has a really good chin. So he got hit, but then I think he fell down once in that fight, but he didn't get knocked out. Like his chin's really good. He got back up. He recovered. I gave the first round to Figueiredo. I gave him that round. I gave 2, 3, and 4 to Moreno. And then I gave 5 to Figueiredo, because I thought Figueiredo started to come back in that fight, because even though he had a lot more strikes, he had a lot in round 1 and a lot in round 5. And like he had like when he was he had all of his energy, but he's tired out. And then you had a guy like Moreno who's just going in there. He has good hands, boxing, like he's very good the boxing style, getting out volume, and then he has wrestling. But like something that clicked with me when I was doing like my notes for this last week. The one guy that beat Figueiredo, Jussier Formiga, what he did was he would take down Figueiredo, and then Figueiredo likes to throw wide shots, wide power shots. All he would do in that fight was back up, avoid it, take him down, and ground and pound him, and then just wear Figueiredo out in that 3-round fight. And he did that. Moreno didn't do that this fight. He didn't take the blueprint there. He didn't try and wrestle him that much. He stood up and they traded shots with him. And he hit Figueiredo a lot with some good shots. And then he didn't really get tired until like the 5th round. And I feel like like if you want to go the odds are saying Moreno in this one. I know Figueiredo's coming in with the vengeance because he's thinking that if it wasn't for the eye poke, I think the eye poke saved him.
The low blow.
The low blow. I think the low blow, like it definitely hurt him, but I thought he lost anyway. Or at best, without it, they would have tied because I had it 3-2. That's what I had. But with the one round, a lot of people said could have went either way. With that one round, I think it was round 2 or 3, could have went either way, which is why I think
round
that
2.
But in this one, I feel like Moreno's going to come in. It's going to come with a better game plan with this. I think with Figueiredo, he doesn't just like Nate Diaz. His hands are on the right here. And then I don't know if it's his confidence where he doesn't think he's going to lose, where I think he's just going to win, so he doesn't block anything. But you can't do that to a guy against Moreno who's going to be throwing a lot of strikes at you in the head and connecting, and then he's going to try and avoid your shots because you throw wide shots. I feel like if Moreno can get the takedowns because Figueiredo is wide open for those, it'll be like a nice victory for him. I could see him winning by a unanimous decision, but you got to watch. But he has to watch out for a Figueiredo and that knockout shot. That's the one thing, because right. I don't think he's going to get guillotined. I think that's Figueiredo's favorite submission. He goes for it. He's very quick. If you saw his fight right before Moreno, I think who is he fighting? Was it Brandon Royval?
Oh, I don't. Click it right there. You got it right there, don't you?
Oh yeah. It was Brandon Royval. Oh no. It was Alex Perez. That's who it was. My bad, wrong guy. But Alex Perez took him down, started punching him, but then Figueiredo was able to get up, turn around, and lock in the guillotine for the victory. He has to watch out for that. So he has to be patient in this fight. Kind of let Figueiredo dictate it in the first round, because he's going to try and knock him out, let him tire out a little bit, then take over after that. That would be his best bet, not to just go straight on with him round 1. Start in round 2, go from there, and then win by decision. So I think that's for me, that's the best bet there, right there, unless you want to go with Figueiredo by knockout, because there's always that chance that he's going to get that.
Yeah, Figueiredo, the thing about Figueiredo is, like you just said, he's capable of getting taken down and flipping it around on you. So it's not like Moreno was going to go in there and just not have to worry about the hands and the submission, because Figueiredo can submit you too, just as easily as he'll knock you out. Now he's looking for the knockout, which is it's dangerous on either end of the spectrum. But yeah, this is going to be a barn burner, dude. I cannot wait for this fight. This is going to be the fight. This one has potential to be fight of the year, depending on how it goes and how it ends. But I'm surprised you gave, the second round in the first fight could have went either way. I gave it to Figueiredo. I thought he landed a little bit more cleaner shots, but that fight was a draw for a reason. I mean, it was close. Yeah. It was really, really close. So this one, well-deserved rematch for the championship, no less. This is, I think Moreno's the number 1 contender, 1 or 2, right? He might be number 1. He's number 1. So, yeah, this is the perfect fight to happen. I wish it would have been a headlining fight, but I'll take it on this card too.
Yeah, I just want Moreno to win, so then they could go back at it for a trilogy, because no matter what, it's going to be a good fight all in all. So that would just be better for the fans.
I like where your mind's at with that one. I like it.
Yeah, but now we're going to move on to the main event. Of course, we got another title fight here. We got Israel Adesanya, who's 20-1. Of course, he's the -260 favorite going up against Marvin Vettori, 17-4-1. He's the +210 underdog. This will be the second time that they're fighting. They fought in 2019, I believe it is, where Adesanya won by split decision. Yeah, where a lot of people thought that maybe it could have went the other way, but this is the way that it went. What do you think with this matchup?
Yeah, I wasn't one of those that thought it went the other way. I thought Adesanya did enough to win that first fight, but it was definitely close. It was definitely close. Yeah. I think that Adesanya, coming off of that Blachowicz coming off that loss where he got really just bullied and taken down to the ground. You know, in the last fight that I did, I said Adesanya was a little bit good at everything. I was wrong. He's not good at on the ground. That's his one weakness. um, and I think that Blachowicz really put the blueprint out there on how to stop this guy, because he's another one of those guys that will trash talk you, get in your head and make you possibly. So, and it goes into what he does, which is striking. But Vettori, he's much bigger than Adesanya. He's going to come in bigger than Adesanya. So I think that this blueprint is going to be the way to go. I think he's going to try to just bully him, take him to the ground, not, because they're already, I saw an interview, they're both talking trash to each other. Adesanya's, throwing insults. Vettori's like, I won, blah, blah, blah. So, they're talking trash to sell the fight probably. But he's 5-0, Vettori, since the loss to Adesanya. He's never been stopped in his career.
Yeah.
And he gave Adesanya a split decision. So somebody out there thought that he already beat him. So this is going to be very interesting. I'm interested to see how Adesanya recovers, because he's still very braggadocious online. He still thinks he's the king of the world, even though he just got romped, you know. But I'm very interested to see what he does, because he is one of those guys that, even though he lacks in wrestling, he makes up for it in every other area of his game. He takes a lot of damage, though. I've noticed that, and I've said that repeatedly. He's willing to sit there and strike with you. He'll take a hook, but because he knows that his hook will be more devastating than the one he receives. He didn't take a lot of damage against Blachowicz anyway. He just got bullied. So it'll be interesting to see how he has trained to try to overcome that, knowing he's going against a bigger guy. Now that the story's out on what he can't do, and it's up to Vettori to shock the world. That plus 210, that's looking a little tempting. I got to be honest. Put some shekels down on that one. But it'll be interesting to see what he does. I don't know. He's only got 2 KOs, 2 in his career, if I'm not mistaken. So, what he likes to do is take it to the ground anyway. So we'll see. The story of this fight will be how Adesanya responds. That'll be the story of the fight to me.
I got 2 points to make. First one is, I look at the Adesanya-Blachowicz fight, and I just have to say, everybody has to remember, Blachowicz came in at 220, and Adesanya was at 205. He didn't cut any weight at all. The weight he was what he stayed at, so he didn't cut anything at all. He had all water weight or whatnot, so it was a little bit different for him. He had to keep the weight on instead of losing the weight that he always cuts. And then in that fight, he throws a lot of kicks. Everybody knows that kickboxing, he throws a lot of kicks. He likes to lead with the left hook and then throw a right kick right afterwards towards the head. And it always works because the opponent is thinking about the shot and then they forget about the kick that's coming up. In that fight, every time he was trying to kick the lead foot of Blachowicz, he would just check it. Every single time. He checked every kick. It got to Adesanya. Adesanya was getting a little bit flustered. And then that's when Blachowicz came in and started taking him down. One thing Marvin Vettori doesn't do, he doesn't check kicks. He doesn't do any of that. He usually takes a lot of damage with the kicks. That's what Holland was doing early, was he was getting with the kicks before he got taken down, because he sucks at the takedown defense, of course. And then that's why Vettori was going with that. But in that matchup as well, Vettori was losing the stand-up battle against Holland. Holland was hitting him good and all well in the first round, and then a little bit of second, until he kicked him with the takedowns, and then which he had 10 of them, and he just kept him on the ground, and it was hitting him on the ground, and then, of course, he won by decision. Adesanya is really good against the cage with his takedown defense. You're going to have to take him down in the middle of the octagon, because he's going to avoid it against the cage. In the first fight, Vettori was having problems taking him down until round 3. He was always having problems with the first level takedown, and for some reason he waited to round 3 to go to the second level. When he got to the second level, he took Adesanya down, and he had success with that. So if he goes back to the tape and watches what he did before, And maybe he goes and tries to use that same tactic to where he goes to the second level this time with the takedown to get it. Because if he can get that started early, things are going to look good for him. But
Right.
just standing up, all Adesanya is going to do is stand a distance away like this, throw those kicks, hit him with a bunch of kicks in the lead foot a lot of the time because Vettori uses that lead foot for his boxing. He's just going to do a lot of damage with that, slow him down, and then just pick him apart. And it's going to be harder for Vettori to move. And I could see it like a round 3 knockout by leg shot by Adesanya if he doesn't do any of the takedown, if he's not successful. But I wouldn't be remiss, like you said, if I didn't consider the plus 210 amount on Vettori. Because this is 5 rounds. If he can get him down, he can throw him on the ground and pressure him. Adesanya is like a fish out of water on the ground, as you saw against Jovic. He didn't do anything. He was just like this for the last 3 rounds. So it's really a tough call. It's like the matter of what do you trust more, Adesanya to stuff the takedown and then to beat him on the ground on the feet, or do you trust Vettori actually getting him down and then keeping him on the ground? Because once he does that, he's likely not going to get up.
Right. That's what I mean. I think Vettori will have he already got the split decision plus what Blachowicz did. I think there's a good tape on what to do against Adesanya. That's a good point about the weight differential that you brought up too. But I think that Vettori, like even if you go back and watch the first fight, he just looked bigger than Adesanya. Now that doesn't always work because you saw what he did to Costa. Costa came in huge and he got put to sleep. So it doesn't always work against these type of generational guys. But I think Vettori, I don't want to say he's going to win. I don't want to make that the pick. But the more I talk about it, the more I can conceive that the more I can conceive he weathers the storm. Because the early storm is going to come. It is. That's what Adesanya does. But I think he'll be able to take him to the ground because he had success with it in the first fight. And, by the end of the fight, Adesanya looked, he looked gassed. At the end of a 5-round fight, you all look gassed. But he was really having problems, and even at the end of the first fight, that fight ended on the ground, really. And it's the more I talk about it, man, the more Vettori I could see him. That might be the upset of the year, dude. That really might be. He
just needs to keep his attitude in check because he tends to get mad, flustered. He headbutts the cage at times after a round, and then once that happens, he's going to lose focus, and he can't do this in this fight because this fight is a meaningful fight. Adesanya would take advantage of it, so he has to keep himself in check. That's the big thing with me is if he doesn't keep his attitude in check, Adesanya's going to catch him slipping.
Right. But I mean, like I said, he hasn't been stopped in his career either, Vettori. So I mean, it makes for a very compelling matchup, and it makes for very compelling. He has the best path to victory out of anyone against Adesanya. So we'll see. It's gonna be a good card, Dan. It really is. I'm excited for it.
Is there anything you want to say before we get going?
No, nothing really. Thank you, sir, for pinch hitting. Bobby, wherever you're at, dude. Hope you're well. Congratulations to your girlfriend on the award she's receiving too. And thank you everybody for watching. And Dan, you're the man, brother. You are the great Dan Baker. That's what you should change your handle to. The great.
The great. Yeah, but
the great.
But it was my honor to come on, fill in for him. Do it anytime any of you guys miss a show. I can hop on, help you guys out. But just like you said, this is going to be a great card. I'm looking forward to it. I'm actually not going to be able to watch it until Sunday night because I'm going to be in Atlantic City for a bachelor party tomorrow and Saturday.
Very nice.
So for a buddy of mine getting married in September, so I'm going to have to wait until Sunday night to watch it. I'm going to put it on and watch it then to get to do all my notes and stuff from Monday night.
You're able to stay off Twitter to get spoilers? You're able to do that? Or
I'm going to be too busy.
Okay. You're right. Bachelor party. You're right. What was I thinking?
I'm going to leave my phone in the thing on purpose Saturday just so I don't see anything. But it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard being at the casino with the people that are going to talk about it. So
yeah, you're going to hear about it.
So if I hear about it, I hear about it. I'm going to watch it anyway to do my notes and whatnot. To recap it, but I'm looking forward to watching it. I hope it lives up to the hype. We got 2 title fights and then the 5-round fight, so it's going to be a lot of fireworks. I'm even excited for the prelim because I'm looking forward to the Anders Stewart fight, and then I'm looking forward to Brad Riddell and Drew Dober. That's going to be underrated fight on the prelim. So check that out on Saturday night. Of course, I believe the main card will be on pay-per-view at 10 o'clock. And then, of course, you can follow the Fighting Words every Thursday night right before a pay-per-view, I believe. And then you can give us a like on the show. That's what we look for is likes. We love them a lot. And then, of course, we're with the Sports Box, so you can give us all your questions and comments. Follow Sports Box on Facebook at Sports Box Show, on Twitter at Sports Box Show, and on Instagram at The Sports Box Show. And then don't forget to subscribe on the YouTube channel. And then there's now a Twitch channel up there, so you can search it under The Sports Box. So give a follow on that, and then let us know what you think. But we're going to get out of here right now.
Where can people find you?
You can find me at Cage My IQ. I got a Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. The Facebook and YouTube. Actually, I'll bring it up right now since we're on here to make it easier. Of course, you can find us. If I can bring it up, you can find Cage My IQ. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch to the hashtags on the left. Go live every Monday night at 8:30 on the Sports Box. And then, of course, I put out a bunch of content on my YouTube channel. I got an interview in an hour with one championship champion, Joshua Pasillo. So that's going to be good. And then next week, I'm releasing the interview with Kyler Phillips. So definitely check that out. You can follow my YouTube channel and then just give us a like. But that'll wrap things up.
Beautiful work by you, dude. Beautiful work by you.
It's a grind, but you got to embrace the grind to get somewhere. So that's what I'm doing, and growing a little bit every day. My YouTube channel has over 110 subscribers right now. So
awesome.
But let's get this wrapped up so everybody can get ready to watch the PFL 4 event right now. It just started. We got the main card starting at 10 o'clock Eastern time. Definitely check that out, and we will talk to you guys later.
Take care, everybody. Have a good night.
See you.
All right, bud.
Thank you for watching this episode of The Sports Box. Please remember to follow us on all of our social media outlets. On Facebook at Sports Box Show, Twitter at Sports Box Show, Instagram at The Sports Box Show. Find us on YouTube and join Outside the Box, our Facebook sports discussion group. The Sports Box is brought to you by our sponsor, Showcase Sports in Hamilton. Showcase Sports for the elite athlete. And also our friends over at CrowdPlay. Download the free CrowdPlay app today and use promo code THEBOX at sign up for 10 free points. Thanks for joining us this evening.